All right, as promised, we are going to start our interview with DareDevil Squadron. These guys, phenomenal guitar players, phenomenal album, great interview. You're really going to like this. I'm going to see you on the other side of this. Enjoy. All right, welcome back to Rock Hard with Jay Conroy on RockHardRadio1.com from New York City. As promised, in the studio, a couple of the guys from DareDevil Squadron. Introduce yourself, guys.
This is Angus. Play guitar also for DareDevil Squadron.
All right, I'm going to start off by reading your bio here, which I found very interesting. I'm just going to read this here. DareDevil Squadron rocks with a vengeance and won't quit until they've shown the world what a five-man band can do. Armed with some of the finest songs written in this or any genre, the Squadron combines virtuosity with finesse in order to create an emotional impact on the listener unrivaled by their contemporaries. Substantive and reliable lyrics that draw you in and captivate you. Memorable melodies and rhythmic hooks that stick in your head for days. The sound of rock music as it was meant to be played. Loud. Like that. The members of DDS are all at the top of their game. Andrew Ross is a singer who has the raw intensity of a young Paul Di'Anno, which I did notice listening to that, with more rage and control. Interesting. Guitarist Angus Clark and Aurelien, how do I say your last name? Budynek. That's actually pretty easy. Playing lockstep with each other, whether it's on rhythm parts or hyper speed lead lines. With differing yet complementary solo styles, this is a guitar duo that will stand up against Tipton and Downing, or L.I. and Topman. Bassist Chris, how do I pronounce Chris's last name? Altenhoff, and drummer Jason Gianni. Yeah. Hold it all together, keeping the groove even in the oddest of time signatures. It was in the back lounge of a tour bus with an early Iron Maiden concert DVD playing in the background that Angus, Andrew, and Chris first discussed the future of the next new wave of British heavy, wait, let me read this again. The future of the next new wave of British-inspired American heavy metal, or simply, what's that mean?
and that was our play on, the rock press coined the new wave of British heavy metal, the NWO-BHM.
Uh-huh.
And that was, I think it started with, I don't know if Saxon was lumped in there because they were earlier, but definitely Iron Maiden and everybody that followed in the wake with twin guitar leads and all that intense the really dramatic singers, and that whole sound was called the new wave of British heavy metal.
Mm-hmm.
And because we were inspired by that, we were hoping to popularize a new acronym, the next new wave of British-inspired American heavy metal, the NWOBIAHM.
It's catchy.
It is catchy. It didn't really take off, particularly because of the conversation we're having right now.
Yeah, well, if you push it long enough, you never know. It's that's the way it is. Sometimes ideas take a while to come on. Now, I'm looking down here, and I got to ask about this at the risk of asking about it. It says the Pilots, lead vocals Andrew Ross, call sign Awesome Wolf, guitar Angus Clark, call sign Rogue, guitar Aurelien Budynek, call sign Bordeaux Bandit, bass Chris, what is Chris's last name?
Altenhoff.
Okay, call sign Thunderball, and drums James, call sign El Torino. What the fuck is that all about?
Well, we're having some fun with the whole notion of the squadron being pilots.
Sure.
And if you recall from, and this is it's an actual military thing, but I think most of us ever learned about it by watching the movie Top Gun.
Uh-huh.
So everybody had a call sign. Tom Cruise's was Maverick, and Val Kilmer's was Iceman, and Goose was the co-pilot to Tom Cruise, and his replacement was Merlin, so on and so forth. And so we were just having some fun with that, and you know, they're just all something that we just wanted to have done, and we have fun with it. It's not we're equally capable of having a good time laughing at audacity in rock as we are completely respectful of it. Like I'm never gonna, say I don't love Paul Di'Anno on those first couple of Maiden records, but I will also say that, man, there's some corny stuff in there, right? Every now and then, it's like I have a good time with this music. That's the whole point.
Right.
We're having a good time with it.
We have a sense of humor.
Yes,
I like
exactly.
that. The band's got to have a band that takes themselves so seriously. It's kind of like, All right. Now, speaking of that, I see that you guys, and I think Aurelien, we had talked about this, that you guys got a song on the new iPhone video game Top Gun 2. Speaking of Top Gun, now don't tell me, because looking at this, I'm thinking to myself, I wonder what it is. And I was listening to the album over and over last night. And I said, well, it's got to be one or two songs. It's got to be either, and don't tell me yes or no.
Which is it, Jay?
Hero Falls, or was I gonna say Forgotten Son? Is it either one of those?
I think Forgotten Son is in there. Which one was in there?
Oh, so there's more than one in there.
Power Trip's on there. Out of the Sun's on there.
And Forgotten Son's on there.
Forgotten Son's on there too. The driving, all the real driving rhythm stuff.
The fast ones.
Okay, so you got more than one song on there.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
The whole soundtrack is us, and then Danger Zone.
Or is Danger Zone there? Or
Yeah.
The Top Gun theme is on there for
the
sure.
Steve Stevens thing.
Run into the danger zone. That one.
Yeah.
Kenny Loggins classic.
Yeah, well, yeah. All right, we're going to, once again, we are in the studio with DareDevil Squadron on Rock Hard with Jay Conroy on rockhardradio1.com from New York City. Now, the name of the album is Out of the Sun, correct?
Yes.
And that is a badass lead-off track that I actually hear some Maiden in. So I want to get right to that, the lead-off track from DareDevil Squadron. Song is called Out of the Sun. Check this out, this rocks.
Stretch your wings, say your prayers. You see the coast is clear. Feel the rush go through you now. Nothing more to fear. Set the course and head for home. You're dancing on the line. Wife and child waiting there. Everything is fine right now. You can feel the wind at your back. You go. How did you escape the attack? Oh, you think you got away. Oh, you see another day. You think you're done, and we come diving out of the sun. Out of the sun. Blinded as you try to turn, dive and roll away. All the many tricks you've learned are failing you today. Closer now and closer still, you feel me on your tail. I'll have you in my crosshairs soon and let the bullets wail right now. You can wipe the sweat from your eyes. You go. Can outrun this deadly surprise. Oh, now you better pray. Oh, face your dying day. Nowhere to run when we come diving out of the sun. Out of the sun. Go, go, go. is near. Acrid smoke has filled your mask, you're choking on your tears. Bandits falling all around, the day will soon be ours. Wreckage on the fields below, you join the other cowards right now. There can be no turning back, we go. DareDevil Squadron attack. Oh, now you better brave. Oh, face your dying day, nowhere to run when we come diving out of the sun. Out of the sun. Out of the sun. Out of the sun.
Out of the Sun, DareDevil Squadron. Tell me about the influence for that song.
Oh, this is Angus. That's sort of the whole story about us watching an old Iron Maiden video is absolutely true. We've watched this documentary called Iron Maiden: The Early Years, and it has, if you haven't seen it, it is awesome. It is like one of the best, like, just films about bands I've ever seen. They have everybody that was in Iron Maiden up through Number of the Beast, from its inception until Number of the Beast.
Wow.
Comes together at the Cart and Horses, the club where they played their first gig, and it's like 40 guys, and almost all of them.
There was that many members in Maiden?
It's insane, and they were just about all fired by Steve Harris at some point.
Really?
That's what's awesome about it. And they all still respect him. They're all like, "Oh yeah, he can be, but I deserved it," you know.
Yeah, right.
It's like that. So
yeah, when the camera's on.
Yeah. So yeah.
Behind it, it's like, that fucker cost me a career.
So, we're watching that. We're talking about doing this thing, and I actually had a good portion of that track, the riffs and stuff, from a few years back, and I just had never found the right guys to play it with. It's one of those things, you know, like you have a career, you play in different bands, you come up with riffs, you come up with material, and you're just like, it's just not anything I can do with it because I don't have a band of guys that want to do this kind of material, that kind of material. When this came together, I was just like, man, I got to pull that riff back up.
Yeah,
this is the right band for that thing, and we got it. It was one of the first things we had when we brought Jason in to play drums, and it was all about if he could do that like medium fast double kick drum thing, which is like, it's a muscular tempo for a drummer because you really got to lay into the kicks at that tempo and stuff like. It's very Cozy Powell influence, which is a massive, huge influence for me. Like Cozy Powell is working Rainbow, well, all of his work, specifically in Rainbow. Very Kill the King. There's a lot of Kill the King in this song, I think, right?
Yeah.
I was heavy into Rainbow. Loved Rainbow.
Yes, you were. Of course. And so then, so Jason was nailing it on that, and that was awesome. And then we had to come up with the lyrical thing, working with Andrew. This was like Andrew and I sitting in this rehearsal space on 8th Avenue, you know, in the music building on 8th Avenue, 584, sitting in there, working on, you know, lyrics that were about a dogfight. And we kept coming up with stuff that was going to really feel good for him to sing and dig into. And then Aurelien and I came together on what we're supposed, you know, what we're going to do to make this a 2-guitar thing. And that's where the whole harmony solo, there's a whole harmony solo in there that we kind of see as being like planes flying in formation with each other.
Right.
Now let me backtrack for a second, because, you know, as we read in the bio, you were in the back of a tour bus watching, you know, the DVD and that sort of thing. So from there, when did the band really come together? When did you finalize all the players and said, you know what, this is it, we're going to go do this? Was it that night in the tour bus? How long after the tour bus before things really got going?
It was a series of phone calls.
It always is.
Actually, it was a text message for me. I didn't get the phone call, but I got the text message.
What it was like, here's news. You're in a band now.
It was something like that. It was I forget exactly how it was worded, but it was something like, "Do you want to be in a classic hard rock band with me and Andrew?" Something like that. And and then I said yes.
And there it was.
That was it. And that was that was the band.
And what year was that?
I believe I got that text in late 2008.
Okay.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
And when did you guys actually sit down and record this?
We recorded this. Well, we started. The band got finalized at the end of 2008. We started rehearsing and finished writing and collaborating in 2009. And we recorded this album in the fall of 2009.
Yeah, late 2009. My daughter was like 5 months old, and I literally like wound up on daddy duty one day that I had to go in and approve some drum edits or something, and I was like pushing the stroller down to the recording studio.
It's very rock and roll.
So, it's totally rock and roll. I had her set up in the pack and play out in the next room. She's standing there like, what's going on in there?
Although I've said it before and I'll say it again, that is a great way to pick up chicks. You come in with a kid, number one, you're safe. It's like, oh baby, yeah. Nobody's gonna be like, yo, get away from me. It's beautiful. I tell guys, listen, borrow somebody's baby, go to the fucking park, all right? Once you nail the chick, you firm up dinner plans or whatever, and then it's like, oh, well, it's not my kid, I'm just babysitting. They still think you're sweet because you took the afternoon. You know what I mean? It's way better than a puppy.
Yeah.
A human kid, there's nothing. I mean, when my kids were little and I'd be like walking through the mall, I'm thinking, now all the pussy's all over me. Like, what happened before? I'm the same dude. I just got a baby in my hand. Oh, well, you're safe now. We know we're not going to fuck you. So
it's almost poetic.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
So that's how that. Yeah, so that was 2009. It was like a bunch of writing, and then we accelerated the recording process kind of insanely. It was like gotta get this done. We just gotta get this. The time is now, and now is the time. And our second record is much more drawn out.
And we've been since then working on the second record, which is about a quarter done at this point, I would say, or something like that.
But we love it. We love everything about it. It was. I was trying to think whether there was something you brought up there. Well, just between, I think that soon after. So this was on tour. It was Andrew and Chris and I all on tour together. And then we got done with the tour at New Year's, and then I went to the NAMM show, and I had only met Jason a couple of times, if that. Maybe I had just been told about him by Chris. And I get to the NAMM show, and Jason is there, and I run into him, and I say, "You're Jason Gianni." He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "You're in my band." He's like, "I am?" I was like, "Yeah, didn't Chris talk to you about it? You're gonna do this DareDevil Squadron with us, like it's And he's like, "Okay," and I was like, "Done," and that was it. So it's kind of like I let him know that he had the gig.
Well, whatever works.
Yeah.
And the lineup has stayed the same, correct?
It has. We had to. The bass chair has gone into flux a little bit over the last year due to there's been availability issues. Chris lived part of the year in Pennsylvania, spent some time in Europe. So we've done a few gigs where we used a couple of different guys as Merlin to continue the Top Gun reference. So whoever subs on the bass chair gets the call sign Merlin. So we've used a couple of really great bass players, old friends that are able to cut the material. So
now the band is New York City based?
Yes.
Okay. And Angus, where are you from?
New York City, born and raised.
All right. Right here in Manhattan?
Yep, I live in Brooklyn now.
Nice. Whereabouts in Manhattan were you born and raised?
Upper West Side.
Whereabouts? I live up there.
110th and Riverside.
I'm about, I don't want to give it away to my crazy ass fucking listeners. They'll all be stalking my place. But yeah, same neighborhood. Same neighborhood. So you can all just come to Riverside and go to 110 and just keep fucking walking around. And maybe you'll run into me. Yeah, it's nice up there though, man. You were born and raised up there?
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, I live right on Riverside, man. It's fucking nice. I love it up there. I'm happy. Happy camper.
It's nice. It's a nice part of town.
All right, and you know my listeners, I'm just fucking with you. You know that. You can come over anytime you want. If you can find me. All right, listen, we're going to do another track from this, and I got to tell you, this is my favorite track off the album, because I listened to this a good probably 10 times between last night and tonight, the whole album. And I said, this fucking song right here does it for me. I'm just going to put it on, and then we're going to talk about it afterwards. Punishment fits. That is right up my fucking alley as to what kind of shit I like. Now, yes. what was the influence for that song?
That's about
You mean
It's about taking...
lyrically or?
Well, no, lyrically is where it's at. Yeah, I got to feel it's got something to do with a chick.
It's about taking your lumps.
About taking your lumps? Is that what it is?
If I got to sleep on the couch, it better be worth it.
Yeah.
That's basically.
So it's really like a guy-girl type of.
It's totally like I got in trouble, and you know I'm gonna have to do my time. But so long as it was worth it, I'm all good.
It's about life choices, really.
and bad ones, obviously. Or there'd be no song "Punishment Fits."
Yeah.
It is very literal in most of the verses, I think.
But I like the way you took, the bad. You must have been at the end of the couch one night and go, you know what, fuck this. I got it. Punishment Fits, right? So it was great inspiration. It was more than worth the trouble because you got a great song out of it.
I think that there were, I think there were definitely conversations, had between various members of the band that led to, a lot of this specific lyrical material. And I'm not going to say who particularly may have experienced some of these, travails in their relationships. I'm not going to point any fingers, but definitely we've all been through some version of it. And, it's kind of one of those things like in this song, our hero in this song is taking it for granted that he's not going to wind up single at the end of this situation. He's gonna take some lumps, but he's still going to wind up, in the relationship he started out in. But he may have misbehaved on more than one occasion. That's kind of
sounds that way. All right. Now you just gave me a great segue for Hero, because the song "Hero Falls" is another song that I really, really like off this CD. I'm going to talk about this a little bit before we play it, and then some questions afterwards. You tell me, but I noticed, and I want the listeners to hear this too, a definite sort of Thin Lizzy type intro coming in. Yes. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Okay. And the lyrics in this song, very, very interesting. I want to talk about that after we play the song. So, you're in the studio, Rock Hard, with Jay Conroy, in the studio with DareDevil Squadron on RockHardRadio1.com from New York City. We're going to do Hero Falls. We'll see you on the other side of that.
You pray for money, you pray for love. You pray for something to believe in. With your Bible and your comic books, who you think you've been deceiving? You wanna know how the story goes, like that tale of brave Ulysses. He got knocked down by the siren sound. His wife,
babe, don't you miss me?
It's all there in a hero's tale. They're only human after all. It's all fair in a hero's tale. Your hero come and your hero falls. Your hero falls. He's got the stuff, he's tough enough. It gives him something to believe in. He tells the truth, he's bulletproof. Keeps the sides nice and even. You wanna know how the story goes? Well, you know he had to blow it. He lost a fight to kryptonite. Now he sits at home with Lois. It's all there in a hero's tale. They're only human after all. It's all fair in a hero's tale. Your hero come and your hero falls. takes her time, cuts you a line, says you're looking kinda tired. You thought you knew just what you do, now you're jacked up and wired. You wanna know how the story ends? Well, hey man, I've been there before. You lose your shack, get a heart attack. You better head for the door. It's like I told you before. You better head for the door. It's all there in a hero's tale. They're only human after all. It's all there in a hero's tale. Your hero come and your hero fall. It's all there in a hero's tale. They're only human after all. It's all there in a hero's tale. Your hero come and your hero fall.
Another rocker, screaming fucking guitars, you two.
Thank you.
Screaming, man. I love a two-guitar band. Now, during that song, I said, listen, I'm going to ask you about something, and it was the whole cocaine reference. Tell me about that.
Well, this song is mostly about flawed men that are brought down by wicked women, and in that particular verse, the guy is being offered some hard drugs by a loose woman, and what's the line? It's like, she takes her time, cuts you a line, says you're looking kind of tired,
Right.
and then. But then to flip that on its head, the line is, you want to know how the story ends, you lose your shack and get a heart attack, you better head for the door. So basically, you're in this situation, it might sound good right now, but it's not going to work out for you if you go ahead and...
So what I'm getting here is you guys have dated a lot of fucked up chicks. However, it's made for great rock and roll now, hasn't it?
It's all research. It's all in the name of research, Jay.
It is all.
Let's just say that I spent a good amount of time in the East Village in the 90s and, dated girls that may have, gotten me into certain compromising situations, and it all came out in the lyrics. But, Aurelien, why don't you weigh in on what this is about?
Well, in the 90s, I was 10. So I don't want to date anyone here or anything like that.
Bus wheels are heavy on my back.
So I didn't have that
They're
problem.
leaving marks, man.
But from all those, History Channel documentaries that I've seen about the East Village in the 90s, and, next to a,
Was he in any of that?
dinosaur documentary.
You see Angus in the crowd anywhere?
Prehistory. Yeah. I thought so.
Yeah.
He looked so young, it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Man,
He was a guy sleeping on a couch in an alley with a spoon.
That
a
was
Coke
him.
spoon.
Yeah.
It's all out there, Jay. Come on, you just read between the lines. You get a little taste.
But
I like it.
It just seems like that's what happens. That's what happened then and
Yeah.
there, and that was how life was, for
It-
there or worse.
That was an interesting time. I mean, I don't know, Jay. You're probably familiar with this period I'm talking about, but there was.
No, I was only 10 in the 90s, too.
I just brought it up with a friend of mine. I was talking to another friend of mine about, I don't know, there was some reference to a band that he was in that was signed back then, and there were a bunch of bands that were signed out of New York in the 90s, a lot of RCA signings, and BMG distribution, and a lot of them went nowhere. Like, a lot of those bands went nowhere, but a lot of them had big advances. And there were a lot of drugs on the street in the 90s, like heroin had made its resurgence.
Yeah, especially downtown.
That stuff had hit back again, and a lot of guys wound up dead.
Yeah.
In New York and elsewhere. But I know some guys that didn't make it out of that period of time. So it's it was interesting watching the record business fund these guys who were set up to go absolutely no place, and then they just spent their advance money on, went up their arms, and they wound up, casualties of the whole situation. And, I was in it and not, the band I was in luckily got dropped right away. So it wasn't like I had any advance to spend on anything.
Right. You're better off.
So, we all made it out alive and lived to tell the stories. And so there's one.
Well, back in the 70s, it was well documented that the record companies would bury money for coke in the budgets because they did not care. They just wanted the album done. And I'm a big Aerosmith fan, and in one of their documentaries, the producer Jack Douglas talks about it, and he comes right out and says it. He says the labels would just bury all the cocaine in the budget that we wanted because they just wanted the record done. So they didn't really give a fuck about the band,
Right.
Or maybe it's a little different than thinking, well, coke's not going to fucking kill them, or whatever. But that's exactly what it was. It's like, they're not done yet. Bring them more coke. Keep them going. Keep them going.
It was the undoing of Casablanca Records. I mean, I don't know if you
Coke,
read Hitmen, but that was like.
Good book.
Great book.
Yeah.
So, anyway, there's a lot of nefarious activity in and around the music industry. That was just my take. A little cautionary tale there. It's not saying anybody needs to go out and experience it themselves.
No. And I know, Aurelien, when we were talking about cats like Doug Aldrich and Rudy Sarzo, to name a couple. And I noticed with these guys, and these guys are not that young. Those guys are in their 50s, easy,
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed with those guys, the longevity seems to be with them staying in peak physical shape. I mean, you look at those guys, they're fucking cut. You know what I mean? It looks like they've gone to the gym and shit like that. But you got to figure at their age, if they were just partying, they'd be dead or burnt out or over by now. So it almost seems to me that at some point they go, okay, if I'm going to continue this in this touring, especially at the level that they tour, which is not extreme high money levels, for a lot of them. And, I guess somewhere they made a turn and said, if we're going to keep doing this, we got to stay in shape. It's the only way. Because you know what being on the road is like. It's a bitch, man. It beats the shit out of you. So, maybe that's the new, the new way to do things. And, because the coke's only going to take you, it's like I always say, drugs work. For a while.
I think that, the model that you're seeing guys like, Doug Aldrich is an amazing player. That's a talented guy, and everything that he's had come his way, particularly in the last decade, he's already a veteran player, but he's kind of seeing like his time at the top, as a more mature player. And you're also seeing these guys, it shows in their guitar playing, man. They're making, better choices. Like, look, I might have had, better technical chops right out of college or something like that, or when I was, listening to nothing but Yngwie Malmsteen records and stuff like that. But I'm much happier with my playing on the DareDevil Squadron record, where I've had the time to relax and really let things show. And Aurelien and I met teaching, right?
That's right.
Teaching guitar. Obviously.
Guitar, yes.
Yeah, and I just learn a lot by being in a band with him. He's got so much facility and there's so many different angles on his skill set that are different than mine, that I'm able to gain a lot out of. We're just all learning all the time. And clean living, is just part of being prepared for what comes your way in terms of career choices. Like, if we get offered opportunities and stuff like that, you have to be prepared. You have to be in shape. You can't be struggling with your demons when when the opportunity comes knocking. You have to be ready to take the opportunity.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Now, speaking of, you're talking to Ingve and stuff like that, what are your guys' most early influences? When you were, Aurelien, when you were a little kid, and you're from France,
yes,
correct?
That's right.
When you were in France, and let's say you were like 10, 12 years old, what did you start hearing on the radio or from friends with records or whatever? What got you into rock and roll, and what were your early influences?
Well, believe it or not, but the guitar player that first inspired me to pick up guitar, and is still, one of my heroes to this day, is Mark Knopfler from the band Dire Straits.
Interesting.
Yes, and I love this band, and I still do, and I think they wrote some incredible shit, and his playing, I still listen to some of those old records, and like all of their records. They don't have that many records, as it turns out, but it's mind-blowing, because his facility and his feel and his, he's so understated all the time, or most of the time, and when I was hearing that as a kid, my parents were playing that on the stereo. I must have been 7, 8 or something. For some reason, that really spoke to me, and that's really what got me wanting to play the guitar, and really inspired me to start taking music seriously, even at a very young age.
So when you went out, you got your first guitar. Did you start learning Dire Straits?
Yeah. That's all I wanted to do at first, because I didn't know a whole lot of music, but as I started, learning some chords and learning some Dire Straits song, and little by little, and growing up, I started guitar when I was 9, so I didn't know a lot of bands then, but as you grow up,
as you grew up, who did you start getting into after Dire Straits?
So Dire Straits was big for a while, and then once I got a guitar teacher, he kind of exposed me to a lot of guitar players, and a big period for me was Joe Satriani.
Oh yeah.
So I
great player.
Yeah. I studied a lot of his stuff when I was like 11, 12, 13, and all the guitar players in that vein, Joe Satriani and Steve Vai were the big two.
Yes, they were the big two.
I still love listening to them today, and I try to go check them out when they're in town. And
they tour pretty frequently.
Yeah. They're around. But growing up in France, it was kind of a big event to have them come to France. And most of the time they would play in Paris, and I grew up in Bordeaux, which is a smaller town, and they would never come play. And when they did come and play, that was like if the Pope was coming, you know what I mean? Because all the music scene would come out, and it was just bananas, it was just, everybody was so charged up, and even I think they were surprised that many people showed up, and that everybody was so loud, because everybody was so excited to see them, So now, I've been living in New York for a while, and of course, whenever they tour, they stop by New York, and so I still try to go, because my inner, early teenager growing up in France is like, it's like, I wish I had that opportunity back then to be able to see them live as much as I'm able to now, So that's nostalgia for sure, but that was a big part of my musical growth back then.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Angus, what about you?
Well, just two points on what Aurelien said. One was Mark Knopfler is an amazing inspiration to me. Love Over Gold, the Telegraph Road.
Yes.
Man, just kills me. As songwriting, as well as guitar.
Yes.
The very
amazing songwriter.
Yeah,
amazing.
Like lyrically what he was doing. In terms of what happened to you when you were 13, you can't fight it. Like
right.
No.
It doesn't matter where we go or what we do, man. The stuff that hit us at that point and like indelibly marks us for the rest of our career as musicians. For the
I
rest
agree.
of your life, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't fight what happened to you at that point, musically.
Yeah.
And
formative years.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
right? And
Completely.
and so it sticks in your ear too. It's like people when they study guitar and stuff like that, they're so interested in what they're supposed to do with their hands. And I'm like, you're supposed to do whatever it takes with your hands to make it sound right to your ear, and you will do that.
Right.
Like if you're letting your ear guide you, you will eventually figure out the right way to make those sounds. And so for me, the first guys were David Gilmour and Tony Iommi. Those were the two first guys, and then everybody that came in the wake of that, because it was the guys who were making records at that point. The Wall came out, Sabbath were on to like the Ronnie James Dio lineup, so
Right.
it was like Mob Rules, Heaven and Hell, and then Ozzy came out, so it was Randy. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it was like Tony and David Gilmour, and then Randy and Michael Schenker, and then you all that stuff was happening. And then there was Yngwie, and then there was like the whole interest in that stratty tone and all that stuff led to guys like Mark Knopfler, and then there's whole periods where I was digging deep just on Hendrix and Clapton, and now Aurelien, if Aurelien is, I'm sure, the same. We had those periods
Right.
where you just opened it right up and you were deep into it.
Exactly.
But the Chops guys that hit me, it was more Randy and Yngwie, and I consider Schenker like one of the highly technical guys, although I don't know, probably if you put him up against these other guys in terms of actual notes per second, he's not probably on the shred level with these other cats, but he was like a highly technical thing. And I've watched whole videos of him where he doesn't use his pinky. I'm like, how the hell is he? It's like
You can say fuck on the show.
Yngwie's using his pinky, but Schenker just 3 fingers a lot of the time. So that was it, and Gilmour and Iommi are field players, man. They're not the big technical guys, but at that time, the 80s, you just had to get all that fast stuff together.
Yeah, well, a couple of things is, the technical part for me is not where it's at. It's more about the feel. You said something about, notes per second, and I'm the kind of guy, I'm not as interested in notes per second as I am about the song as a whole, but I'm not a guitar player, so, Randy Rhoads, I remember when Randy, excuse me, joined Ozzy, and I'm reading everywhere, like, Ozzy's got this guy, Randy Rhoads, this guy's fucking incredible, blah, blah, blah. So I go to see him out at Nassau Coliseum, and I couldn't fucking believe how good he was. It was incredible. And I got to see him one more time before he died, and it was like, damn, man, unbelievable.
I'm jealous right there. I actually had tickets to see him on the Diary of a Madman tour at the Garden, and
I think that was the other show I saw.
He died. They postponed the show, I think, or maybe it went on schedule. I don't remember, but it was. And by the time they did it, he had Bernie Torme. So it was like 2 shows that Bernie Torme played, and then Brad Gillis got the gig.
I still have the program from when I went. Yeah, I would save all that stuff.
I mean, I remember I had maybe just gotten the record and had found out what was going on, and I remember everybody saying, I'm going to see him tonight at the Palladium. And like that Palladium 1982 footage from the Palladium is like, there's some really bad quality footage.
You know what?
From
now that I think about
that's
it, that was the first show, because it was, I remember Ozzy Osbourne's Blizzard of Oz out there on the fucking marquee. So yes, I was at that show.
You went to the Palladium show. I am jealous.
I went to the Palladium show, and then I saw a triple bill with, let me get this right, it was Ozzy, Def Leppard, and the Joe Perry Project right after he left Aerosmith.
Let the music do the talking.
Yeah. And that was the second time that I saw Randy Rhoads. So, and the last. So there's the 2. I had my dates mixed up, but
what was funny about Bernie Torme was that he was getting actively booed by the crowd.
Right, that's what I
during
heard.
The show, and he was playing a white Strat. And what's so funny is that he's a British, very Ritchie Blackmore inspired kind of player, like totally other school, and some Hendrix kind of stuff. And I have a totally skipped Blackmore in my list of influences just then. And Blackmore's another guy that I cannot escape. Like the Rainbow.
Yeah, I love Blackmore.
For me, it was just awesome. But like I just, remember the whole thing of just hating on this guy so terribly. And then in retrospect, I'm like, poor guy.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you get the call.
Sharon is like, get somebody,
right.
And
you get the call. You can't say no to that. Right. But at the same time, you're stepping into going, oh my God, 20,000 people that love this Randy Rhoads guy who was tragically fucking killed. Everything's working against me here.
No matter who you are, no matter how good, you can't. You can't win that.
No,
one,
you can't win.
Yeah.
All right, I want to do another song from the album. This is another song that I really, really like. We're going to talk about this on the other side. Once again, you're listening to Rock Hard with Jay Conroy on rockhardradio1.com from New York City. In the studio, Angus and Aurelien from DareDevil Squadron joining us, going through some tunes. We're going to do a song that I really like off the album. It's called Forgotten Son.
I'm dealing this round and there's only one card in the deck. You
Forgotten Son by DareDevil Squadron. We were talking during the song. You guys were telling me that was actually the first track that you cut.
Maybe not the first one we cut, but definitely the first one we wrote. I remember Angus sending me a demo of this song, which was pretty much, very close to the final version. And we went into the rehearsal studio and changed a couple of things, a couple of details here and there, but the original demo that he sent me with Andrew on vocals as well, if I remember correctly, is pretty much there.
Yeah, this was all, we were all on the road, Chris, Andrew, and I, and we just started doing it with, I don't know, laptops and drum loop libraries or GarageBand loops and stuff, and playing little portable studio action. But the thing that's very Iron Maiden about this is the one that's very deliberately Iron Maiden inspired.
Yes.
And it's like a songwriting exercise that you do this when you're just working on your songwriting craft. You take the storyline from an existing song and you rewrite it. So this is essentially the storyline from Wrathchild. So this is like, I'm taking the storyline from Iron Maiden Wrathchild and rewrote it as this song, Forgotten Son. So it's a song about, an abandoned kid who seeks vengeance on his parent. And it basically just rewrote that storyline as this song. And there's certain things in the musical arrangement that are, kind of odes to that song as well. I think there's a whole segment in the guitar solos where we do that modulating motion that's very similar to is it Wrathchild or is it? I don't know. It's like an amalgamation of Phantom of the Opera and Wrathchild and threw three other songs on the Killers album. So it's anyway, it was a lot of fun to do it just kind of as a project, and they were so happy with what came out that we were like, all right, we've got a band, we're doing this.
All right, another song that I like on here, because I'm trying to get through. You guys got so much stuff, and you got guitars, so I'm hoping that we can get you to play a little bit. Now, I know I sound a little bit off mic tonight, but there's a reason for that. It's so you can hear my guests better, because people have accused me of saying, oh, he turns his mic up and turns the guest mic down so he sounds louder and more authoritative. No, that's not the fucking case whatsoever, okay? So this time I moved this mic really, really close to them. So if I sound off mic, that's why. But you all are used to hearing me talk anyway, so you'll get over that part. So that's why if it sounds shitty, as far as I do, don't worry about it.
Jay is all love, by the way.
Yeah, I'm all love. All right, another song I want to do is hang on. Here we go. It's called Faith, Hope, Love. Check this song out.
I've got a piece in me. You don't run wild, but all the same, don't get too close, you'll see. When I let him out, he's got a real long chain. I learned the rules long time ago. You want the truth? Go figure it out. I'll do without faith. I lost it long ago. All I know, love, walk out the door. Faith, hope, love, oh, forsaken me now. I'm gonna even the score. gets harder in the night. Wait till dark and see if your spark I might ignite. I learned the rules a long time ago. You want the truth? Go figure it out. I'll do without. Faith lost it long ago. Hope I got none that I know. Love walked out the door. Faith, hope, love, all forsaken me now. A fallen man prays, a lonely man yearns, broken man begs and just haven't I learned the rules long time ago. Yeah. You want the truth? Go figure it out. Yeah. Faith lost it long ago. Oh, I got none that I know. Love, walk out the door. Faith, hope, love. Yeah. Faith, I lost it long ago. Oh, I got none that I know. Love, walk out the door. Faith, hope, love. Yeah.
All right, DareDevil Squadron, New York City, hard, heavy band. Check these guys out. That was a great interview. So great. We're going to be doing part 2 next week. All right. Almost time for us to get out of here. But before we do, I want to say thank you very, very much for listening to Rock Hard with Jay Conroy on rockhardradio1.com. Also want to remind you that the station rocks 24/7. So you can rock out anytime you want. And if you want to hear this show again, check the website because the show does replay for different time zones. And once again, thank you so very much.